Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to share with you my top 5 books from 2018. Actually, they're not my books. They're books that I'd like to recommend to you because I think there's nothing more fun than growing your brain with things that you didn't know, like learning new things. So I went to my Instagram family and I said, all right, what would you like to know first? Would you like to know my top 5 organizational tips? Would you like to know top 5 beauty hacks? And without a doubt, people said books. I was really excited, but I shouldn't be surprised because my audience is amazeballs. So I'm going to share with you my top 5 books. These are books that may not have been published this year, but they for sure were books that had a profound effect on me. In fact, a couple of these I have listened to more than once. And you're in luck because all 5 of these books are exceptional on Audible as well. So if you're like me, I start with the Audible version. If I love it, then I have to order the hard copy of the book as well. And I'm going to start off with the most recent one that I've been enjoying, and that is by author James Clear. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can set that up so you can see it clearly. So the title of the book is Atomic Habits. And what I love about this book, because first of all, I am a geek when it comes to studying and developing and learning habits. Habits make life easier. Habits make us, we have fewer mistakes. It systematizes the things that we get right. It allows us to eliminate the things that are not good for us. And it helps us to figure out how to be a better human being. Habits make life easier, and habits have never been more important than today because we have so many things that drain our brain, that use our mental energy, that the more we can make these things automatic, the things that we want to do, the things that improve our health and make our life easier, then the more energy we have to do other things and to like just feel good. So this is a great book. Let me explain why I love Atomic Habits, aside from just like the fact that it's about habits. James Clear does an exceptional job of giving credit where credit is due. He, too, is a student of habits. So he cites some of the best books, research, and I love the examples that he gives. Like, it's really such a profound book. He even gets more into not just the science of habits, but kind of why society and the people that we hang around with, like all of the things that affect habits. And let me tell you, it is not just doing something for 30 days. Habits are so much more involved than just that. Quote from his book. I loved this quote. I heard it and I was like, oh, stop. And I rewound it and rewound it and rewound it and listened to it like 5 times. Here it is. People would rather be wrong with a crowd than to be right and stand alone. Isn't that a great quote? Great quote. And the point he was making with that quote is simply that sometimes we adopt habits and behaviors and actions because everyone else is doing it, even though we know it's probably not the best thing, because we don't want to be alone. We don't want to be the outsider, the one that was wrong, even when we know it's right. Great, great book. And it's a great Audible book as well. Okay, this next one has been so helpful to me. Woo, I love this book. Okay, ready? Here we go. It's called Never Split the Difference. Now, you've probably used that phrase before in your own life, like, all right, let's just split the difference. Well, he says never split the difference. This one was written by author Chris Voss, and he's a former FBI agent with this crazy background in hostage negotiations. Now, listen, you're not going to have to negotiate the release of hostages, I don't think. But it's crazy how much we are negotiating every single day. And this book gives you so many, wow, incredibly insightful ways, not just to negotiate things, but just to get what you need, get what you want, and have the other person feel like it was their idea. That's the brilliance of this book. So as I started listening to this Audible book, immediately that day, I started using it like crazy. And it has been so helpful. I've gotten upgrades on hotel rooms. We pulled in to watch a football game at a stadium where there was no parking. And we pulled up to the premier lot where all the alumni only have parking spots for. And I used some of the tactics in this book. I sure did, to get myself into that parking lot and park for free. what the what? Yeah, like this book is amazing. You're going to love it. Let me see if I can find a great quote from Chris. He's got some good ones. Stand by. Oh, this is it. This is a good one. Okay. Chris says, the rule of 3 is simply getting the other guy to agree to the same thing 3 times in the same conversation. It's called tripling. And it's tripling the strength of whatever dynamic it is you're trying to drill in at that moment. Doing so uncovers problems before they happen, and it's really hard to repeatedly lie or fake conviction. Chris Voss also says that negotiating isn't a battle. It's actually discovery. It's kind of like it's the ultimate tool to learn empathy. So I love this book for reasons that I think most people would find pretty surprising. And that was Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Okay, this next one I have to admit was really hard. It was really hard for me to accept it. You know what I mean? Because there were days I would start listening to this book and I thought, I can't today. I can't. I'm not a kind enough person today to do this. And that book is by Gabrielle Bernstein, and it's called, I love her too, Judgment Detox. And literally you listen to this book and you think, oh, I'm not a judgy person, until you listen to this book and you're like, wow, I guess I am. And one of the beautiful parts, I think, about the way that Gabby writes is you understand that probably the worst judgment of all is the judgment that we place on ourselves, and how the judgment that we place on ourselves leads to us judging other people. It's a great book. It softens your heart. It makes you feel better, because it's just like a gentle tap on the shoulder, like a reminder that we need to be kinder and nicer and have better thoughts, and how so many of those negative thoughts that we have towards other people start with negative thoughts we have toward ourselves. Let me see if I can find one of my favorite quotes from Gabby. All right, she's a great author too. She's written a couple of great books, and and it's her reading it too, which I absolutely love. Okay, couple of great quotes from Gabby. Number 1, remember, if we're happy and complete, we wouldn't judge. Kind of true. Here's another one. We get a quick hit of self-righteousness when we judge others. It's reliable. It's like this little crutch when we feel hurt or insecure or vulnerable. Our judgment toward others seem to make us feel better than them, feel smarter, savvier, more enlightened, healthier, or wealthier. So true. So that is a great book. And if I'm being honest, there were days that it was difficult to listen to, because I'm like, no, I want to judge today. I want to feel self-righteous. I want to feel better, but I would force myself to listen anyways, and it really helped. I mean, it just helped me to let go of dumb arguments that I was having in my head, or like even things where I felt like I had to talk to, not just judgment, like gossip. Like what's the point of gossip? It's kind of the same thing as judgment. So, love that book. All right, next up is, I'm glad you guys are loving this, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. Now, this book did not come out this year. I think it came out the year before, Mel Robbins. And she's got a wonderful TED Talk. Okay, this is a good book to read, but this is a must-listen-to book on Audible. Because Mel, she's probably the best Audible author I've ever heard in my life, because you really feel like she's sitting across from you. It is so real. She drops some, foul language, which personally I love. And I love that in a book, and then I feel passion. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I freaking loved it. It's very real. You can tell that she's often going off script, and it's a simple concept, and you're going to listen to the first chapter and go like, oh, okay, I get it. I get the concept. Do I need to listen to the rest of the book? And you kind of do, because it's a constant reminder. And remember that when we learn things, that starts with repetition. So each and every chapter is pretty powerful. Let's see if I can find some quotes from Mel Robbins. Now, she's also somebody you want to listen to on TED Talk. Okay, here we go. The 5-second rule. The moment you have an instinct to act on a goal, you must 5, 4, 3, to, one, and physically move, or your brain will stop you. Isn't that true? So often we have the instinct to do something, we feel like we should do it, and we're about to do it, and then we overthink it, and then we stop ourselves. And it's really your brain getting in the way. So she goes on to say, your feelings don't matter. The only thing that matters is what you do. Love that. She's cool too. I like her style. I like her energy. She's a straight shooter, man. Dig her. All right. Next one is Wired to Eat. Wired to Eat by Rob Wolf. He's also got a podcast. He's a podcaster. By the way, yours truly, I'm a podcaster. And I would love for you, in fact, I'll give you a couple of great podcasts that you could download from the Chalene Show that I think you'll really enjoy, especially if you're into growth, like mental growth. So anyways, Rob Wolf's Wired to Eat. This is a great book, and I listened to it countless times. Really because I love how simple he makes some rather difficult information, concepts about nutrition and our bodies and our biology and our history and what we know about our DNA and what we know about diet. And like myself, Rob has been in, the fitness and nutrition industry for many, many years. So he's seen a lot of the same trends and actually, suggested them, prescribed them to his following, as have I. So I feel a very kindred alliance with what he's gone through and what I've gone through. And I just think it was a great book. Let me see if I can find a quote from Rob Wolf. Great book. Also, he's reading it, which I love that. I didn't read my book Push, the audio version of my book Push, but I promise you this. My book, The 131 Method, is now on pre-sale. By the way, 131 Method is now on pre-sale on Amazon, and it's coming out in April. But I promise you this, I will be reading it because this time, first of all, I'm passionate about every single freaking word. And the passion and the research and the time and the devotion and the obligation that I feel about this book, I couldn't have anyone else read it. In fact, when I wrote the book, right, and then I kept going back over it and over and over it and rereading it after saying the sentence out loud to say, like, okay, is this how I speak? Is this how I would explain it to someone so that it will be a really good audible read as well? But that won't be probably until a month or two after the hard copy comes out. Okay, do I have any great quotes from Rob? I don't think I do. Did I not grab any from him? Hang on. Yes, I do. Awesome. Okay. A couple of quotes from Rob. He says, as I mentioned in the beginning of this book, people are generally not swayed to action by information. Interesting, he said. A few people are driven by information, and those people tend to be geeks, like yours truly, he said. And that sentence alone, I'm like, oh, okay, you got me. Because I am not swayed by people of influence saying something. Now I need information. I need solid information. I need a lot of information. I need to ask a lot of questions. I need to be skeptical. And once I have all of the details, then I'm swayed to take action. Here's another quote from Wired to Eat. Ancestral diets show a remarkable spread in the difference of macronutrient profiles. Okay, so let me break that down, what he's saying there. He's saying, if we look at our ancestors' nutritional history, if we look at what our ancestors did all over the world, there's a huge difference in how much certain populations ate of carbs, certain populations ate of fat, certain populations ate of protein, and it really does vary. Some are rather low in carbohydrate intake, some are rather high in carbohydrate intake, but the one thing that really impacts health is that our ancestors were eating highly unprocessed foods. And when they were eating diets that were higher in carbohydrates, they were primarily vegetables and a minimal amount of fruits. So that's interesting. Anyways, it's a great book, and he's got some really practical applications in that book. And those are, my goal this year is to take in at least, take in at least one book per week. I love Audible for that reason, because it allows me to consume a book usually in the voice of the author, and I can do that while I'm getting ready in the morning. By downloading an Audible the night before, I'm excited to wake up. I get so excited to learn new information. And all 5 of these books are books that I've listened to multiple times. That's why I wanted to share them with you today, because they're the kind of books, if you want something to stick, you can't just hear it once. You need to hear it repeatedly. So here they are. If you didn't already, you can take a screenshot of all 5 together. Yeah, and if you happen to know one of these authors, let them know I'm a fan and I think they're awesome. And I appreciate the work that they do. Those are my the top 5 books that had an impact on me in 2018. I'm going to be going live as much as possible. I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips for getting your home organized, including my favorite gadgets and gizmos and like tools that help you to do that. I'm going to share with you my top 5 podcasts in health, my top 5 podcasts for just pure entertainment, my top 5 podcasts that will help you in your business. I'm also going to share my top 5 kitchen gadgets. I'm going to do a live broadcast here on Instagram and share with you my top 5 beauty picks. So I'm going to share all of those things and more. And if there's something that's not on the list that I posted today that you'd like to see me, cover, I'd love to do that. So you let me know what works for you. And by the way, this live feed, I will download it, fingers crossed, I will download it and I will upload it to my IGTV so that it's there permanently and you could share it with the person who loves reading in your life or listening to Audible books. Can we say that we're a reader if we're actually a listener? I think so. I think that works. Well, thanks so much for tuning in live, guys. I really appreciate it. I had the camera in reverse today, so I'm not able to take your questions because I wanted these to come through the right way. But in the future, I'll be able to take your questions, and I'll see your comments post anyways, and I appreciate those, and I promise I'll reply. I just couldn't do it live today because, again, the whole reverse thing. Social media is crazy, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining me here today, guys. I love you. I appreciate you, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Okay, I got to jump on a screen now. I got to turn off the camera. Stand by. Whoops. Yep, party foul.